Hey everybody, welcome to Crypt Finder. So by the early 1980s, American television had been priming the pump from the 1970s, and so it wasn't that unusual that you had everyday circumstances turn into battlegrounds for the supernatural, and that's why I wanted to talk about this particular little treasure tonight. It was a made-for-TV movie called Midnight Offerings. This first aired on February 27th, 1981. It is a wonderfully odd little relic. So February 27th of that year, by the way, Friday night. No iPhones, no iPads, no internet. It didn't exist. VCRs did exist, but they were not sort of the mainstream. I believe it was around 83, 84 when those started popping up and becoming more staples in the American household. So my point here is, yeah, there were far worse ways to spend a Friday evening after dinner, everybody gathered around the living rooms and having this little gem beamed right into the television. This was directed by Ron Holcomb, and the film takes the familiar sort of high school melodrama of teenage love triangles and rivalry, and then just cranks the tension up by layering in black magic and curses and psychic showdowns. The story centers on Vivian Sutherland, played with icy charm by Melissa Sue Anderson. This was right at the end of her long-running portrayal of wholesome, good girl Mary Ingalls in the NBC drama series Little House on the Prairie. That series ran from 1974 to 1983, and Melissa Sue Anderson was well known to fans because she was on the show starting in 1974, and she stayed for 7 seasons, also making some appearances in 3 episodes in 1981. Here, Anderson really dives into her role as a manipulative and power-hungry cheerleader who also just happens to be a practicing witch. So her sort of control over her boyfriend, over the school, it's not based on charm. No, it is based on spells and sinister rituals. Opposite her is Mary Beth McDonough, who plays Robin. She's the new girl in school whose quiet demeanor hides a latent talent of her own. McDonough was well known as Erin Walton on the TV series The Waltons, which ran from 1972 to 1981. And if you knew these two actresses, especially in their former roles, seeing them in a very different light in these kind of roles, in this kind of film, it was a lot of fun, because when these two young women clash, yeah, it isn't over the typical popularity or romance. Their rivalry escalates into a supernatural contest with a lot of dangerous stakes, and it just makes it all the more fun for the audience. What makes Midnight Offerings so cool is the way it mashes together sort of the teen drama and occult horror. The dialogue and situations often lean into melodrama, almost soap opera kind of territory, but that's part of the charm. It's a time capsule of early 80s TV, and as I have said before when discussing these types of fright flicks, the budget might have been modest, but the creativity was pretty bold. Remember, this is 16 years prior to Buffy the Vampire Slayer debuting on TV, which was an amazing show. And taking those two kind of genres and blending them together, yeah, Buffy did it certainly much better. But I do just want to point out, Season 1 of Buffy, Episode 3 was titled just Witch, and it happened to be about a very powerful witch who ruled the cheerleading squad. Interesting. Now, you might sense this TV movie starts midstream, because it does feel like you're thrown into the deep end without any explanation. The film never really goes back to explain anything outside of some of those throwaway lines. You're just suddenly, boom, in the middle of a movie with a lot of backstory you're not privy to. The practical effects and the psychic duels, they are not going to be blockbuster worthy, but there is a kind of earnest energy that they've put forth into this movie that really helps sell the concept. The supporting cast here adds another layer of nostalgia. Patrick Cassidy plays the football hero boyfriend caught between Vivian and Robin. He's the son of Shirley Jones and Jack Cassidy. He's brother to Ryan and Sean and half-brother to David Cassidy. Now, granted, most of the cast was around 19 or so when they did this film. I believe Mary Beth McDonough might have been around 20 or so, but they don't necessarily have the look of like typical sort of gawky, awkward teenagers. I think it had something to do with just how people aged a little bit differently at that time. And so, yeah, they're going to look significantly older than teenagers would even today. You've just got to kind of roll with that. A young Vanna White from Wheel of Fortune also plays a student, and Dana Kimmel plays Lily, and she would go on to be in Friday the 13th Part 3 in 1982. Plus, you also have a lot of beloved TV veterans showing up here in a lot of like memorable side roles. You've got Marion Ross, for example, who played Marion Cunningham in Happy Days for 10 seasons, and also Gordon Jump, also known as Arthur Carlson. He was the beloved yet befuddled station manager of WKRP in Cincinnati.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
And Catherine Damon is also really good in this film. That name might not ring a lot of bells necessarily, but she was very memorable for her role as Mary Campbell in the ABC nighttime parody Soap, which saw her actually receive an Emmy Award for that role in 1980. Seeing all of these familiar faces in a witchcraft thriller actually had a bizarre kind of surreal bent to it. It's almost like some of those beloved characters and neighbors from like wacky sitcoms just suddenly showed up in the middle of a horror movie and decided to stay. And hey, I ain't complaining. Stylistically, the movie leans pretty heavy on atmosphere. You've got darkened classrooms, stormy nights, ritualistic imagery giving the story sort of a pulpy gothic edge, while the score by Walter Scharf heightens the tension in ways that really elevate it beyond the typical TV movie of the week. And I do mean that. Walter Scharf was a 10-time Oscar nominee who was responsible for a lot of amazing scores, including The Nutty Professor with Jerry Lewis in 1963. He also did Funny Girl with Barbra Streisand in 1968, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in 1971, and on and on. So really, trust me, the score is much better than you normally would get in sort of the average TV movie of the week. Ultimately, Midnight Offerings isn't high art, but it doesn't need to be, nor is it trying to achieve such lofty goals. It's campy, it's eerie, it's entertaining, perfect slice of supernatural nostalgia that captures the spirit of its era. Sometimes, made-for-TV movies were just sort of by the book in terms of filmmaking because time was a real luxury. But here you have some Dutch camera angles where the camera is sort of tilted. You've got the camera looking through doorways and through lockers, which is very cool. And there's a ton of like moody lighting and atmosphere to it to keep you totally engaged. My point here is there is a real valiant effort that they put forth. You will see echoes of Carrie from 1976 in this movie, and also another made-for-TV movie I've already covered in another video called The Spell from 1977. The hereditary link to witchcraft was covered in both of those films, but unfortunately, in both of those films, they don't dig in enough with what seems to be a really fascinating concept. And then, frankly, as far as the story goes, this movie seems to be an odd precursor to The Craft from 1996. Now, there are variations, but the general plot is similar. And even the overall look of the characters, well, here, take a look at the side-by-side of the leads. This is Mary Beth McDonough and Robin Tunney. And then now take a look at the opposing forces for both films, Melissa Sue Anderson and Fairuza Balk. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm seeing something that's not there. If you've seen both of the films, let me know in the comments what you think down there. I may just be barking up the wrong tree, but to me, similarities are pretty strong. If you are fans of TV horror, teen witches, or maybe you just want the thrill of seeing some wholesome stars like Anderson and McDonough flex their darker sides, this is a hidden gem worth seeking out. And it's been uploaded to YouTube, so shouldn't be too hard to find. One suggestion, though, please search for the 1080p remastered upload. The quality of the film is just so much better. So please let me know in the comments below what you think of this movie. Maybe I'm looking at it too much through the lens of sort of nostalgic glasses. I watched it again just before doing this review, and I still get a kick out of it. So you all let me know what you think. Oh, I've just been passed a note. Vivian wants to see me after class. Might be in trouble. Okay, well, that's it for now, everyone. As always, stay curious and stay scared.
Burn, witch.